junior diplomat Thomas Reed had been working at the Coalition Embassy on Valith Prime for exactly 3 weeks, long enough to learn that Valith royal protocol was complex and unforgiving, but not long enough to have internalized the thousands of subtle customs governing every interaction. The Valith were elegant, distinctive pointed ears expressing emotion through positioning, skin shifting through iridescent colors reflecting inner states, and formal culture where every gesture carried layers of meaning. Physical contact between species was carefully regulated. Absolutely no casual touching. Thomas's actual job was glorified paperwork, processing trade documentation, scheduling meetings, ensuring coffee was available at conferences. Administrative support with a fancy title, included informal events mainly to handle logistical details. Tonight's annual Coalition Unity Gala at the Royal Palace featured hundreds of diplomats engaged in carefully choreographed social interaction. Thomas was attending primarily to ensure the human delegation's seating matched protocol requirements. He was checking placement cards when someone spoke behind him. "Excuse me, is this Ambassador Chen's seat?" Thomas turned and found himself face-to-face with Princess Lysara, third in line to the Valith throne. She was considered a rising diplomatic force, someone everyone treated with careful deference. She asked a simple question, her skin showing polite neutral colors, her ears positioned in casual inquiry. And Thomas, nervous and distracted, made 3 catastrophic mistakes in rapid succession. First, he turned too quickly and stumbled slightly. Second, his stumble caused him to lean forward involuntarily. Third, and most disastrously, his momentum carried him into accidental contact, his lips brushing against hers for a fraction of a second before he jerked backward in horror. The entire section of the dining hall froze. Valith nobles stood rigid with shock. Thomas's supervisor looked like he was having a cardiac incident. Thomas had just kissed Princess Lysara, in public, by accident, in violation of approximately 17 different protocols. He knew this was catastrophic. Unwanted physical contact with Valith royalty was considered profound disrespect. He could be facing expulsion from Valith space or diplomatic incident requiring his government to replace their entire embassy staff. "Your Highness," Thomas managed through absolute horror, "I am so sorry. That was completely accidental. I stumbled, I didn't mean to, please, I apologize with utmost sincerity." Princess Lys's skin cycled rapidly through colors, shock, surprise, confusion, before settling into something Thomas didn't recognize. Her ears positioned in a way that might mean thoughtfulness or calculating punishment. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Then Princess Lys did something that shocked everyone more than the accident. She laughed. Not polite diplomatic laughter, but genuine, surprised laughter carrying real amusement. "Your courage impresses me, human," she said, her skin shifting to colors indicating pleasant surprise mixed with respect. "To approach a Valith princess with such directness, though I admit your method was unorthodox." She was reframing the accident as deliberate boldness, as if Thomas had intentionally kissed her as dramatic gesture rather than stumbling into her like a fool. He should probably clarify it was genuinely an accident. But looking at her expression, at her skin showing colors suggesting she was pleased rather than offended, Thomas made a split-second decision. "Your Highness is most gracious," he said, neither confirming nor denying whether the kiss was intentional. "I apologize if my approach was too forward." Princess Lys's ears tilted in what might be amusement. Too forward, yes. Her skin showed colors suggesting she found this entertaining. "Tell me, Junior Diplomat Reed, I assume you are the diplomat rather than someone who wandered in by accident?" "I am technically a diplomat," Thomas admitted. "Though my actual role is primarily administrative, I was checking seating arrangements." "Checking seating arrangements," Lys repeated with definite amusement. "And somehow this led to you expressing such direct appreciation." She was giving him an out, offering a narrative that saved face for both of them. Over the evening, something unexpected happened. Princess Lys continued engaging with Thomas, asking his opinions on diplomatic matters, treating him as someone worth talking to rather than just the junior admin he actually was. Other diplomats watched with confusion and envy. The princess was spending considerable time with someone who by all rights should have been expelled after his bold gesture. Thomas navigated the conversation trying to be genuine, since she seemed to value that, while not so genuine that he admitted the kiss was pure accident from clumsiness. Later, Liz requested a private word on one of the palace terraces. Thomas's supervisor looked torn between hope and terror. On the terrace, with stars overhead and gala sounds muted by distance, Liz spoke with her skin showing colors suggesting genuine honesty. "You know," she said, "I'm aware it was an accident, the kiss." Thomas's heart sank. "Your Highness," "Let me finish. It was obviously an accident. You stumbled, momentum carried you forward. Anyone with basic observational skills could see that. Which is why your decision to accept my reframing of it as intentional boldness was actually impressive." She looked at him directly. "You could have insisted it was an accident, apologized repeatedly, made everything more awkward. Instead, you read the situation, understood I was offering interpretation that preserved dignity for both parties, and had presence of mind to accept that narrative." "I was terrified," Thomas admitted. "I thought I'd cause a diplomatic incident." "You did cause an incident," Liz said with amusement. "Just one with unexpectedly positive outcomes. Do you know how exhausting it is being a Valith princess? Everyone approaches me with such careful protocol that every interaction becomes performative. No one is genuine." Her skin shifted to colors that might be loneliness. "You stumbled into me by accident, then had enough composure to work with the narrative I offered." That combination, genuine accident followed by quick thinking, was more interesting than any perfectly executed formal greeting I've received in years. "So, I'm not being expelled. You're being invited to serve as my personal liaison to the human embassy," Liz said, her skin showing this was genuine. "Your supervisor can spare you from seating arrangements. I need someone who can navigate protocol but isn't so bound by it that they can't be genuine. You accidentally kissed me and had enough presence of mind to turn it into something that wasn't complete disaster. That's rare." 3 months later, Thomas was still adjusting to his role as Princess Liz's liaison, combining actual diplomatic responsibility with something approaching genuine friendship. They developed rapport built on that initial disaster. He treated her as person rather than royal symbol. She appreciated his willingness to be genuine. When reporters asked Thomas about the incident where he allegedly impressed the princess with bold approach, he gave technically true answer, omitting key details. "I had an unexpected interaction that violated protocol." Rather than treating it as catastrophic error, Princess Lysara chose to interpret it generously, and we've built productive working relationship. Liz, when asked, was more direct. "Diplomat Reed stumbled into me by accident, and our faces collided. He could have made it worse through excessive apology. Instead, he had intelligence to work with the interpretation I offered and courage to be genuine rather than just protocol compliant. That combination impressed me more than perfect etiquette would have." Sometimes the best diplomatic moments emerge from accidents transformed through mutual respect. Because they'd learned that unintended courage, surviving your own mistakes with grace, can build bridges perfect protocol never could. That sometimes the most impressive thing is recognizing when someone offers you dignity-preserving narrative and having presence of mind to accept it, rather than undermining it with technically accurate but socially disastrous clarification. Thomas's accidental kiss had been the most embarrassing moment of his life. But his decision to work with Liz's generous